Folks, if I were able to lock you in a room for 7 days, not provide you with food that was edible or water, and you died, just exactly what do you think would happen when it was discovered? I would immediately be arrested and charged with a homicide. Now, what degree of homicide I would be charged with, I really don't know, but I damn sure would be charged with homicide because I, number one, had you under my control, and I did not provide for any of your humanitarian needs, i.e. food and water. But that's just me and you, a regular citizen. Apparently, that thus far has not applied to the officers under the command of Sheriff David Clarke. So I'm wondering now if these individuals, along with Mr. Clarke, are going to finally face the music. Now, I've done stories in the past regarding the death of TerrellThomas. He was an inmate in one of Clarke's county jails, and the sad part about it was he had not even been arraigned. Now, this man had issues with mental health that are documented, and he had apparently created an issue for them, so they stuck him in a solitary confinement cell and turned off his water for 7 days. He died of profound dehydration. Now, the Milwaukee County Prosecutors are considering if jail staff should face felony abuse or neglect charges in connection with the dehydration death. They're considering it. Now, if this were me or you, there would be no consideration necessary. We would have been arrested and charged. Let me give you the information from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel as to what appears to be going on here. Milwaukee County prosecutors are considering if jail staff should face felony abuse or neglect charges in connection with the dehydration death of an inmate last year, newly filed court records show. A felony charge of abusing an inmate is the potential crime relevant to the April 2016 death of TerrellThomas, prosecutors wrote in a motion filed this week. It's the first signal from prosecutors about which charges jail staff could face in Thomas's death, although no specific names were mentioned in the motion. An autopsy showed Thomas, 38, died of profound dehydration while in the solitary confinement of a Milwaukee County jail. 9 days after he was incarcerated from the original downtown Milwaukee jail. His family said he was in the throes of a mental breakdown, and the autopsy noted he suffered from bipolar disorder. When a mentally ill inmate like Mr. Thomas is locked in solitary confinement without access to water, his life is totally in his jailer's hands, wrote Assistant District Attorney Kurt Benkley. The law must strictly require jailers to safeguard lives which are so completely entrusted to their care. Stupidity, thoughtlessness, indifference, and incompetence are not morally sufficient excuses nor valid legal defenses. The Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's Office determined the manner of death was homicide, meaning death at the hands of another. The term doesn't necessarily mean a crime was committed, but I leave it up to you to make that determination. Prosecutors have not decided whether to file charges against jail staff. Instead, they have sought an inquest, a legal proceeding that allows them to compel witnesses to testify in public before any charging decision is made. An inquest is a 6-man jury that hears testimony. A judge decides which charges the jury can consider and directs them to determine if there's probable cause to charge anybody with a crime. After the jury's verdict, prosecutors then decide whether to file charges. They aren't required to follow the jury's recommendation. 3 inmates told the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel that Thomas had the water in his cell cut off after Thomas flooded a previous cell. It's unclear whether jail staff offered Thomas other forms of water or sought medical help before his death. The motion filed this week about possible charges came as prosecutors seek to clarify the standard of proof for the abuse of an inmate charge. Prosecutors believe they shouldn't have to prove jail staff knowingly abused or neglected Thomas, which jury instructions in Wisconsin require. Rather, prosecutors believe they should only have to prove the abuse or neglect occurred, which is the requirement under state law. The abuse of an inmate charge is the lowest classification of felony under Wisconsin law and carries a maximum penalty of 42 months in prison or a $10,000 fine. Thomas's death was investigated by the Milwaukee Police Department after Milwaukee County Sheriff David A. Clarke Jr., who runs the downtown jail, requested an independent investigation. Prosecutors said the circumstances surrounding Thomas's death necessitated the calling of an inquest, declining to elaborate on what evidence and factors played into the decision. Since taking office a decade ago, Milwaukee County District Attorney John Chisholm has only been involved in one other inquest. Inquest my ass, okay? They damn sure know that they have the facts, and there can be no excuse for a person dying of thirst in this country. Period. End of story. If the jailers failed to provide this man with water, and they also didn't provide him with anything that was edible, and he died, that's on them. They should be charged with negligent homicide. Hopefully, the district attorney and prosecutors will grow a pair, and instead of turning a blind eye to the offenses that law enforcement perpetrates, they need to take a look at it as though they were a family member of this man and go after these guys. Now, though they did not name the 2 people that they are looking at charging, their names, I believe, are out there somewhere. Now, folks, here's some additional information from the Associated Press. Prosecutors said Tuesday that the jail's commander failed to inform police about the existence of surveillance video showing a guard turning off water to the cell. A current and former jail captain both testified Tuesday that the video showed a guard turning off water to the cell on April 17th, shortly before Thomas was transferred there, and after he stuffed a mattress in a toilet to flood the cell he was previously in. Captain George Gold testified that his jail commander, Nancy Lee Evans, directed him to review the video the day after Thomas died and report to her what he saw. Gold said that after the guard turned off the water, he didn't see anyone turn it back on. Gold said Evans was very surprised to hear what the video showed, but when Evans took the stand later Tuesday, she denied Gold ever told her about the water being shut off and said it was several months before she became aware that dehydration was the cause of Thomas's death. Yeah, right. She denied withholding evidence, but Assistant District Attorney Kurt Bentley said Evans failed to direct staff to preserve the entire video and did not mention it to police until almost a year later. So there you go with the cover-up. Now we just need to see how far up the food chain this is going. Those 2 people are not the people that were responsible as far as turning that man's water off or not providing him with any type of food, but they are definitely involved in this particular case. So we will keep a watchful eye out to see what happens as far as this inquest and the actual filing of charges are concerned.